Hi friends, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So by popular request, you guys want to talk about like heartbreak right now, breakups. You want to know what about my dating life right now. You want to know about how to keep on your healthy routines when like life interruptions like breakups. So I thought, why don't we just have a sit down chat, just hang out, it'll be like a casual video and talk about what you do when life interrupts all of your healthy routines and like knocks you off your wagon, and give you my best tips on how you can better handle these scenarios. Because as you guys know, I earlier this year went through a breakup. I also got COVID this summer. There's been lots of interruptions, and I know that these are common experiences and very not special to me in my life. What's important is that we learn how to not let our personal lives constantly knock us off of our major life goals, like our major health goals, the long-term goals we have. So today I'm gonna be sharing my top 10 tips for what you can do to stay on track. I will also be sharing my personal experiences, especially in the last few months, but I also want it to be like really applicable to you and what you're going through too. Okay, my very first tip, this is the foundation of it all, is that we need to normalize life interruptions because they are totally never gonna go away. I think it's just something that once you can realize this and sit with it, it gets a lot easier. But we tend to think like, oh, well, this happened and then this happened and this happened and that's why I've stopped working out, or that's why I stopped cooking my meals for myself, or we just let it become excuses, when in reality, these interruptions in life are actually life. Like, this is life. It's not an interruption. Life is kind of a series of interruptions. And that is actually one of the main reasons why our program, Petite Power, is 12 weeks long and not like a 2-week challenge, because we want you to learn how to coach yourself through life's interruptions and take the judgment out, remove the judgment, and really be able to stay on track with something, learn what that looks like, learn what coaching yourself through these interruptions looks like, because that's the skill you need to develop in order to have a lifelong, healthy lifestyle. So the first thing is sit with the idea that these interruptions you're experiencing, they are totally normal. They're just life. It's what life is. So if we can normalize it more, then we are less likely to make an excuse for ourselves when they do happen and say, well, I'm like, this happened, so I'm just gonna like throw all of these other goals or deprioritize them. Whereas if this is just a normal part of life, we can say, okay, I'm gonna keep my routines going because I know this is just a part of my life now. This is just how life is, right? So that's tip one. Nobody's getting through life. Nobody's getting even through a 2-month period where there's 0 interruptions. You are constantly going to be in a state of being distracted, pulled away by interruptions. Your priorities will be challenged. The unexpected will happen. You know what I'm saying? So just normalize that expect it. Just expect to be interrupted so that you can you're not surprised by it and you can better handle the challenges when they come at you. Okay, my second tip is to take time to feel whatever you're feeling. This one's a little woo-woo, but take time to really sit with how these interruptions are making you feel rather than try to change them immediately. And for example, when I first went through my breakup, and by the way, it was an amicable breakup, even if I'm the one who initiated it, it's still a life transition, right? It's still gonna be hard, and that goes for any breakup, whatever side you're on of it. So even though you're feeling all these things, you can still take care of yourself and feel the things and move forward. A lot of times when we're experiencing distress, we put all else on hold, like working out. We turn to unhealthier, less healthy behaviors as coping mechanisms, like eating or not eating, or over exercising, or stopping any routine at all, any healthy exercise routine at all. It can be anything depending on you and your behaviors. When in reality, we can maintain a baseline minimum commitment to our health goals while still moving forward and still feeling the things we're feeling. And in the long run, this is gonna help you take care of yourself and keep your habits intact even when you're struggling with external factors in your life. So what this looked like for me, for example, I had COVID, breakup, followed by moving apartments. So it was like months of transitioning this summer. And if I had just stopped exercising during that time, I don't know where I would be. Forget about physically, just mentally, emotionally, if I was not taking care of myself for months because of these interruptions, I know I would feel so much worse. So the point of this is just to say that you can still take care of yourself. It doesn't have to be like an extreme, but find a baseline that you can do, whether that's like 20-minute walks once in a while, or like just keep some kind of daily little routine in at the minimum to keep it going. Keep taking care of yourself rather than let all of your behaviors change and resort to less healthy behaviors. You can still feel and process and work through, you know, anxiety and other emotions that are coming up for you while exercising or taking care of your health, you know, cooking, doing these things. They might be harder, they might change. You might need to make them simpler, but just do what you can to keep some of them intact. That's really important. Okay, this one came from one of my friends. I'll put her handle here, Lindsay. She's a mindset coach, an accountability coach. She has a tip to lower your expectations, which I think is so helpful, especially if you just have a day where things are really interrupted. Like say you got some bad news this morning and it's just messed up your whole day, or say you overslept by hours. Something that's like rocked your day. This could be long-term too, such as like I said, something bigger, like getting laid off your job or whatever, something more serious. But temporarily lowering your expectations can be really helpful in, first of all, taking some pressure off yourself, and then also making things a little bit more realistic so that you don't feel like you're totally dropping the ball on everything. You still get something done, you still feel good, but you're also not way overwhelming yourself with way too high expectations to be functioning at the normal level that you would normally function at when you feel your best. So this helps me a lot. I use this in various scenarios, especially with my breakup and the moving. Like I said, I kept my health things intact, but I really let my expectations go down a bit. Like if I miss a session here or there, it's okay as long as I get back to it the next day. I'm not training as hard as I was. I'm not using progressive overload as much as I should be. Like, it's okay. I'm in a phase of life right now where I'm like maintaining my bare minimum. So take a look at what is the bare minimum that you need to do that day to feel good, or you need to do on a daily basis to just keep a habit intact, and commit to the bare minimum and don't judge yourself. Like remove judgment and just know like it's okay if my expectations are a little bit lower, and I'm just giving myself more room right now to process and work on, heal in other ways and spend more time maybe doing other things that you need to do to pour into yourself with the interruption that you've been experiencing. Again, that's gonna be a temporary lowering of your expectations, not like in the long term. You will resume, you will get back with time heals all, you will get back to your normal levels of productivity or whatever it is. So tip number 5 is to practice gratitude. This is something I didn't do regularly before this year. I would journal, but I didn't write down every single day with prompts, like what I was grateful for. And I've been using this journal. It's called the 5-minute journal. It's really great. Actually, someone gave this to me like 2 years ago and I never used it. And then I found it in my closet when I was moving. And I thought, you know what? I could probably use some gratitude training right now. Like there's a lot that I have to be grateful for in the face of everything going on right now. And it has helped me tremendously. It's also, there's a lot of research that backs up gratitude journaling as far as improving daily happiness and just feelings of like fulfillment. So it's really easy. It takes like a few minutes in the morning and at night. I do it in the morning right when I wake up, part of my morning routine. And then before I go to bed, while I'm in bed, I'll just like jot down, and it just asks you to reflect on things you're grateful for, what would make the day great, a daily affirmation, and then at night you write down 3 amazing things that happened that day and how could you have made the day better. I find this to be wildly helpful, and it's extremely simple and very, very like easy and not time consuming. Someone did ask me in the DMs, doesn't it get repetitive? Like, don't you write the same things down every day as far as what you're grateful for? And I'm like, of course, like, that's one of the amazing things about the journal, right? Is that you can be grateful for something over and over and over again, and it doesn't detract from its value. You continue to be grateful for it. So yeah, if it gets repetitive, that's okay. You just start to realize how much you care about something or how grateful you are for something. So gratitude journaling can really, really help. It's helped me a lot in the last few months personally as well. Okay, this next tip, this is tip number 5. The last one was tip number 4. This tip is from James Clear. He's the author of Atomic Habits. This is one of my favorite tips of all time. This is something that I've noticed in my own habits over the years, especially training as a former internationally ranked athlete and like years and years, over 10,000 hours worth of practices logged. This is definitely a gold nugget here. So James Clear says the following: when it comes to building good habits and breaking bad habits, bear with me, individual mistakes do not matter in the long run. Instead, it is the second mistake that is far more important. So what he's trying to say here, and this is really important and it's really applicable to how you stay on track when you get knocked off. The first time, say you wake up and you miss the gym that day because life happened. It's not that day that matters in the long run. It's actually the next day if you decide to get back on the wagon or you continue to not go to the gym in this example. And his theory is that 1 mistake is an outlier, 2 mistakes is a pattern. So you actually start creating a new habit in place of your old healthy habit when you repeat the mistake twice. Now, I'm not saying going to the gym or not going to the gym is a mistake. There are times when you should not go to the gym. So you have to use your best judgment and listen to your body. However, think about this. This has helped me a lot too. Whenever you're faced with a decision to, yesterday I didn't do something and today I have the opportunity to do it, think about James Clear's research and think about if you are, how important it is to get back into it as soon as possible, as in the next day or whenever you would regularly do it next, so that you don't start forming a new pattern in place of the old pattern you had worked hard to establish. And this is also what he said, killing the pattern before it snowballs into something bigger is one reason why learning how to get back on track quickly is an essential skill for building good habits. And this is what I'm saying when I talk about learning how to coach yourself better through life's interruptions. This is one of the absolute most important skill sets you can work on for yourself is, first of all, awareness. Recognizing, okay, I skipped yesterday. And second of all, your behavior, making sure that you are accountable for your behavior that day, whether you choose to continue, the mistake, which again, I don't want to call it that because it's not always that. It can be a decision you need to make for yourself. So just know we're using his terminology, but this is just such an important life skill. This is something we talk about a lot in Petite Power is accountability and self-awareness and just acknowledging that you have the opportunity every day to make decisions for yourself. And the longer you stay off track, the harder it will get, the more it will snowball to get back on the wagon. So after you miss one workout because X, Y, and Z, work event, life interruption, get back the next day and it'll feel so much easier to not let it become a thing. Like the third day, you won't even think about it, you'll just go. This is huge. This is probably the most important tip on the list here. Okay, the next tip is something I kind of made up recently and it's been working for me, so I wanted to share it. It's kind of funny. So tip 6, create boundaries for yourself or healthier replacement behaviors in response to negative life events. So in the face of a breakup or a bad date or, I'm saying that because that's like, actually I haven't had any bad dates. You guys asked this. I've only had really good dates, luckily. But if someone disappoints you, a friend, a date, you have an expectation for something or, any number of things. I noticed in my own life, my response, and it's pretty much always been this way, I love eating when I feel stressed. And this is something I knew about myself from a young age and I've worked through it. I'm a big fan of therapy. That's in a future tip coming in a few. And so now I know, okay, when I feel like the need to eat, and I know it's not because I'm hungry, it's related to a certain, event that's happened or something that's triggered me, I consciously have replacement behaviors that are healthier, that help pour into myself rather than perpetuate an unhealthy behavior that makes me feel good in the moment but has really nasty repercussions later. Like getting a stomach ache or feeling really sick because I ate when I wasn't hungry, or going to bed really stuffed and not feeling good the next day, or just knowing I wasn't working towards my goals. So one of the things I told my girlfriends when I started dating, and this was before I had gone on any first dates and I didn't know what to expect. It's been 7 years since I went on a first date. I'm 29 now. So I told them, okay, anytime, and luckily it has not been like this, but I said, notoriously dating in New York is really hard. I don't think it is. I think it's great. But I was like, okay, anytime a man disappoints me, I will, instead of ordering takeout or staying up late or binge eating or whatever it is, instead I'm gonna do something that pours into myself. I'm gonna do something that takes care of myself, like go to bed early or cook myself a healthy meal or read my book before bed. I just distinctly, I was like, if this happens, I'm gonna do something really good for myself. I'm gonna wake up early the next day and train, or whatever it is. And that can make a huge difference in how you feel in the long run. Of course, it's not an immediate benefit, although it is a good feeling to make a good choice for yourself. So really use your awareness and think about how you're responding to your life events. And if you can be aware of them and make better choices, and also write down what your triggers are and what's a better, healthier response to them, you can stay in line, you can stay on track with your goals way longer than if you let these little interruptions or these big interruptions knock you off each time, or contribute to a very unhealthy behavior that further distances you from your goal, like overeating or ordering a pint of ice cream. And trust me, there are times where you need to eat a pint of ice cream. I'm not telling you not to eat the ice cream, but if you notice you have recurring behaviors and whenever you're stressed, this is just a really good tip for being aware of them and taking responsibility for them and learning how to replace them with something that serves your highest self better, because you deserve that. Okay, tip 7, therapy. I told you this was gonna come into play. I am a big proponent of therapy because I am a former athlete, as I've said, and I did sports psychology. I worked with a sports psychologist for almost my entire life since I was 13. So I've worked with a lot of psychologists. I learned so much through my sport, and I saw the value in it from a very young age, as far as breathing techniques and understanding yourself better, understanding your communication styles and what might trigger you, that, just knowing yourself better. So I highly recommend going to therapy, even if there's nothing quote unquote wrong. It's really, really beneficial to talk to someone. And I'm gonna recommend a website that I've recommended to my friends. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I've just found that it's useful, especially in New York, where it can be expensive to afford therapy. Honestly, it can be expensive anywhere, but it's called alma.com, ALMA.com. And they help you find a therapist through your health insurance. And it's a really easy process to sign up. So if you're really lost, where do you even find a therapist? It's so hard, it's like dating, I know it's overwhelming. Just check out Alma. I know some of my friends have found therapists that they love through that, and it can be an easier way to get some support. Or there's also a lot of apps these days that are text messaging based. Honestly, anything is better than nothing here. Okay, this is a big one. This is tip number 9. Now, I kind of think that anxiety begets anxiety. When you have it, it creates more unless you do something distinctly to break up the anxiety. And what I've found is that when something happens in my life, I get interrupted and I get behind in my work or behind in my workouts, I get anxious, right? Because I have a lot that I wanna do and not enough time to do it. What I usually would launch into is do as much as possible in the period of time I have, play whack-a-mole, try to get it all done, run the business, do this, do this, do this. However, that usually makes me more anxious and less productive overall. What I've found really helps, and it's counterintuitive, is to actually break the pattern and step back out of the work, out of the, the furious whack-a-mole pattern, and do something that's very slow. Take a step back and just plan out the day. It might take me 45 minutes, but time block the day out. Assign a task to each hour. Really spend 30 minutes or an hour in the morning if you can, being more intentional about how you're gonna spend your time that day. And even though in the moment I will feel anxious and I need to be doing, and this isn't me getting the work done, the planning and the slowing down and the preparation actually makes me more productive later. And as a result, I get more done, I'm more productive, and I feel less anxiety. So I think just taking a step back and trying to break that pattern, that response pattern to rushing through things, or like if you're behind, like feeling like you need to get it all done, this is a huge step in just kind of like getting back on track and realigning with yourself. And that's helped me a lot. Okay, step number 10, or tip 10 rather, it's not really steps, is to prioritize. Please prioritize your sleep and what you put in your mouth. Make it good for the times when you are most stressed in your life. Sleep is so important for stress, and same with your nutrition. Now, I'm not saying like, you know, when you're stressed, you should be cooking up a storm and putting all this pressure on yourself to be healthy, but just make a concerted effort to eat more whole foods, eat your vegetables, get your vitamins, because what you eat is really gonna have an impact on how you feel. And if you can kind of work on the inside during that time and really like feeding yourself good, whole, nutritious foods, you will feel better for it. I almost always feel better for it, instead of, you know, ordering out every single night and kind of reverting to that. Like really just committing to like, okay, at least the first like breakfast, lunch, and snack I need to have at home and cook myself, just so I feel like good and grounded, like I'm feeding myself good foods. And then maybe you can order your favorite whatever dinner. It depends on you and like your goals and everything, but just be aware that what you're feeding yourself and how you're actually just taking care of yourself, like prioritizing sleep or not, that can play a huge role too in just maintaining some semblance of normalcy and health during a really stressful time. I also think limiting alcohol can be helpful here. That's up to your discretion, but I find that since alcohol is a depressant, it can further make things a little bit more cloudy, can make you feel tired and groggy in the morning. So just limit it if you find that you're sensitive to it too. That can help a lot. All right, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this tips video and kind of like girl chat about how to maintain a healthy lifestyle in the face of life interruptions. If you found it useful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content tailored to petite women. Of course, this is a little more general, but I hope it helped, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.